going to go ahead and get right into it today. Hopefully everything's still working. Everything but my camera after doing some troubleshooting this morning. Good Lord. So I was thinking, man, I'd really like to check out dogs since I'm talking are all over me wanting to get out. I'll take them out here in a minute. But yeah, let's make this quick and sweet. I updated to, as you'll see in my last short live up, I did a live short pretty much. I updated my PreSonus universal control and updated it to the Fender universal control. Everything was still working at that point, so it's not the universal control's fault. However, I was like, okay, now I have to update the firmware to be able to use DAW mode in Studio Pro 8 now. So that's what I did. Updated my firmware on the board. And then after the firmware update was complete, I had no USB connection. I was like, okay, well, I've dealt with this before on updating the firmware. My situation is a little bit unique. I go through a USB hub because I have to, because I have my studio set up with a network closet where I can put a computer in there and hear absolutely no fan noise. So that's how I have it set up. And it's actually the back of my mic booth. So there's a door I shut that goes underneath the steps of the basement. And on the other side of that door is my mic booth area. So it's silent enough in there. So yeah. So that hub is like an extender that will extend to that closet. It's like about a 25-foot run from the wall. About 30 foot completely altogether. I used the StarTech USB hub from Sweetwater, and it's the only hub that's worked so far for me. I got another hub that I tried out earlier after I did the firmware update, but I haven't tried it again. It may or may not work. I don't know. But point being, after I updated it, there's a boot sequence to the Series 3 mixer and a computer, and the proper boot sequence is to start the mixer first before you plug it into your computer. Make sure it's up and running, and then the USB will be available to be detected and read by a PC or Mac. And sometimes you don't have to worry about that. It just works. In the past, it's just worked several times for me. But this time, that didn't work. No matter what the boot sequence was, no matter if I reinstalled the firmware onto the board. I've started a support ticket. But no matter what sequence I put in, nothing would work. Even before when I've had issues, I've had Windows still read the USB side of things, even though universal control couldn't. As you can see, long story short, I had to revert back to the old school PreSonus universal control and the old school firmware. Then I had to reset up my OBS and my WDM settings and all that to get back up and running. But that was the issue. The new firmware has an issue with connecting to USB properly, especially if you're somebody who uses a hub. And before anybody says anything, I understand USB hubs can add latency, but I've done latency tests, and it actually converts better because it's going to a USB 3 port, and this is a USB 3 hub with a USB 2 plugged into it, and it actually handles. The StarTech hub handles the conversion from USB 2 through to 3 better than plugging straight into my laptop. I've brought my laptop in here and plugged straight into it before and ran tests. And that hub is actually I think it's like something small, like 8 or 9 samples, less latency than plugging straight into the computer, which is wild. Anyhow, I just wanted to inform everybody about this. If you're having issues and you're going through a hub with your Series 3 mixer, trying to use the new Pro Studio, and it's a long run like mine, you may come across this issue. I have reported it, and hopefully it gets resolved. I will try again on the next firmware update. If they actually address it, I'll talk to some people and see if they've actually addressed it. If not, I got to keep functioning, because that cost me a couple hours of headache that wasn't worth it. So I already planned not to use Pro Studio until 3, 4, 5 3 to 4, 5 months down the road from now, when I know everything's going to work that I've invested in as intended. So, this has happened before with some firmware updates years ago. So I'm not going to put this on Fender. I assume these boards are not easy to program for, and get the firmware dialed in just right. I'm hoping in the future that Fender will actually release new boards, new flagship series, Studio Live boards that would hopefully work with the Series 3 add-ons like the NSB 16s or the ear mixes or something to that effect. But if not, we'll just maybe I'll just upgrade completely in the future if it's less headache than what this board's been on firmware updates. Because man, oh man, I've been through this a dozen times since I've owned it. I've owned this board since this came out. When it works, dude, I fucking love this board. This board is awesome when it works. The workflow is awesome. I got several different mixes. The stream gets its own mix. The DAW mode's cool. The effects for hearing your vocals is cool, like the compression and delay and reverb. They're great. EQ, it's all decent, dude. It's all good. There's room for improvement, of course. I mean, this board came out in 2017, but at the time it was fucking awesome, and it's still awesome today. So I'm hoping they get it right. I'm hoping within the next couple of years, maybe nominal, they'll have something new, where the firmware is a little bit easier for them to deal with, I would hope. But yeah, so just so everybody knows, if you're going through a USB hub, specifically maybe the StarTech one, which is actually one of the best ones on the market for reliability, if you're having issues after you update your firmware to your board, you're not alone. Just revert back. Uninstall universal control from Fender, and then remount your new universal control, and you should be golden. That's what I did. I just went back a version. So, and I keep those files on my computer just because these things I have tended to happen. So I put in a support ticket, and hopefully I hear something back. I guess the support tickets are supposed to be confidential between me and I guess Fender now, which I think is bogus. I think customers should be able to share their experience with other customers openly and freely, and that includes support. So I think it's a policy that needs to change. I think Fender, with the name change and people being concerned about the future, should push for transparency and openness, and looking towards the future and providing us hope to keep investing. And I've been happy with Personas for the most part, besides feeling like a beta tester for new firmware for this board. But I've always communicated with them when I've had issues, and it seems like over time things have been resolved, and I've gone down the road of life and production and had a blast with this board. So not on here to bash them, just sharing what I've experienced. And if you've experienced something similar, put it down in the comments. All right, y'all, I'm out of here. Have a good one.